This is Valmiki Ramayan, Season 4, Episode 1, Entering Dandakaranya. Previously, we saw how Bharat had not accepted the kingdom that he had gotten because of Kaikeyi's demands. He was a true Ikshwaku prince, focused on doing the right thing and not on his self-interest. He went to Chitrakoot and pleaded with Ram to come back. But when he could not convince Ram to return, he decided to rule in Ram's name, as a caretaker head of state. Ram, Lakshman and Sita moved on from Chitrakoot towards the Dandak forest further south. Let us now read the third book of the Valmiki Ramayan, the Aranyakand, the book of the forest. Soon after entering Dandakaranya, Ram, Lakshman and Sita came across a group of hermitages. This charming abode of ascetics was like a sanctuary of peace and sanctity. Great sages conducting yagyas, deer grazing on the grounds fearlessly, and the air resonating with the sounds of Vedic hymns and chirping birds. They entered after disarming their bows, taking the string off. Vijjam kritva mahadhanu. The ascetics welcomed them warmly, but then told them that the picture of peace was an illusion. There was danger everywhere. The Rakshasas were slaughtering them. And they reminded Ram, whether you live in the city or in the forest, you are our king, and you ought to protect us. In the very first sarga of the Aranyakand, Valmiki has set the tone for what will happen in this third book. Ram protecting the people of Dandakaranya from the Rakshasas, standing up against tyranny. But he will also pay a terrible price for that. After spending a night at the hermitages, they went deeper inside the forest the next day. As they walked along, they noticed ominous signs of wanton destruction, broken branches, creepers lying mangled on the ground. Suddenly, a huge, ferocious Rakshas came roaring in front of them. He was wearing tiger skin that was smeared with blood and flesh. He carried a spear with spiked animal heads. Catching them by surprise, he pounced upon Sita and grabbed her. And then stepping back, he made his intentions clear. Iyan nari vararoha mama bharya bhavishyati yuvayoh papayosh chaham pasyami hrudiram hridhe. This beautiful woman will now be my wife, and I will kill you two transgressors and drink your blood. My name is Virad, and I thrive on devouring ascetics. Sita was trembling with fear. The sight of a terrified Sita in Virad's clutches was unbearable for Ram. Parasparshat tu vaidehya na dukkhataramasti me pitur vinashat saumitre swarajya haranat tatha. Lakshman, nothing is more painful for me than an unwanted touch on Sita. Not the loss of the empire, nor even father's death had hurt me as much. Ram and Lakshman fired off a volley of arrows on Virad. He was injured, and Sita managed to free herself from his grip. The enraged Rakshas raised his spear to counterattack, but Ram's arrows broke it into pieces. Virad then simply rammed into them. His physical bulk and raw power was such that he almost lifted Ram and Lakshman off their feet. It was now hand-to-hand combat, a bare-knuckle fight. Virad was pushing them deeper inside the forest. Ram and Lakshman realized that it would not be smart to push against the Rakshas head-on. So they let him win some ground and took a few steps back. Sita thought they were losing and started shrieking, Uchchai Swarena Chukrosha. But displaying excellent martial arts prowess, Ram and Lakshman deftly broke their attackers' shoulders. Then they punched and kicked him. Again and again, they lifted him off the ground and smashed him down. Finally, they killed him and buried him. Interestingly, in his dying moments, Virad revealed that he had not always been a Rakshas. He used to be a Gandharva before. Yet another proof that Rakshasas were not a different race.
Then really, who were the Rakshasas?
In the Aranyakand, we will come across many Rakshasas. Let us take notes as we go along and understand them better. And what do we know from this encounter with Virad?
We know that if the Rakshasas wanted something, they simply took it, not thinking about whether it is right or not. In this case, Virad wanted Sita, so he grabbed her. They were physically very strong and killed ascetics living in the forest. And not only that, they even ate them. They were cannibals. But are you sure this is fair to the Rakshasas? I mean, things may look different from their point of view.
You raise a good point. And it is essential to understand that what we are reading is not the winning side's version of what happened. We saw in episode 6 of season 1 how Valmiki was not a medieval court poet writing about the conquests of his master. Valmiki was a Maharshi. And look at the power dynamics between these great rishis and even the most powerful of kings. In season 3, Bharadwaj Muni had rattled Bharat with his forceful interrogation, and it left Bharat stuttering for words. In season 1, sage Vishwamitra had gone to meet Dashrath in his court. Recall how Dashrath was afraid of annoying the great sage. And remember the time when Dashrath had gone hunting and had struck an ascetic by mistake. We saw how using violence against anyone on the ascetic path, not just the Maharshis, was considered a grave misdeed. And even now, see how Ram disarmed his bow before stepping into the hermitage. Clearly, the kings of that time were in no position to dictate or influence the Maharshis like Valmiki. We must always remember that we are reading an unbiased, independent report of things as they happened.
Yes, this is Itihas.
Iti, her, asa. That is how it happened.